still never get used to that. Um, in my last video, I was talking about the character of the dad, and that I actually found him incredibly challenging. And the reason I found him challenging is because he looms so large in the novel. I mean, like, permeates the pages, and yet when we get to the big show, this dude has, like, no lines. And it kind of leaves you wondering, like, what the hell? So, in trying to reconcile that, I had to examine the character of the father a little more closely. And examining the character of the father more closely, I had to examine Eddie, because their relationship is crucial to the development of the novel and the ideas that album presents. Um, in the book, I think Eddie spends a lot of time not wanting to be like his dad. And actually, I would go so far as to say that a lot of Eddie's actions are in fact reactions to this character of his father. And as we all know, as it turns out, Eddie winds up being exactly like his dad in terms of like the resentment, like that bubbling anger, like always beneath the surface. In terms of even his job, he is essentially his dad. So I think the reason that when we get to heaven and we do meet the father and he has no lines and he has no backstory, despite the fact that he's been so critical to the storyline up to that point, is because we already know the dad through Eddie. And it's very much like a if you've seen me, you've seen the father sort of thing. I think Album does that on purpose, because everything in the book, none of these interactions are happenstance. Each one of those interactions are designed to make Eddie a more complete person, a whole person, a person who has no burdens on his heart, which Lord knows we could go into like Egyptian myths of the afterlife and the feather of truth and stuff, but we're not. Maybe somebody else will talk about that. But that's essentially why we have all these characters. Each one of them is going to make Eddie more complete, and vice versa. He's going to make them more complete. So when we get to the character of the dad, and he meets him in the diner, and the dad doesn't say anything, and Eddie goes through this process of forgiving him, I think we can look at that as more of a almost a soliloquy, right? He's talking to his dad, right? But really, he's talking to himself. He's reconciling things in himself. And in forgiving his father, he forgives himself. And I think that's really, really important in the novel, because, you know, how can you be a complete person? How can you have lightness in your heart if you don't first forgive yourself for your shortcomings? Before you can even accept the forgiveness or even love of another, you have to be able to say, yeah, there are some things I did that were fucked up, but I forgive me. And in the book, that action takes place through Eddie forgiving his father, because Eddie is his dad and his dad is him. And I think even when you look at where that interaction is placed in the novel in terms of the two interactions that come afterwards, I don't think that was an accident, because once Eddie forgave his father, the next person he met was actually his wife. And this is the issue of, like, you know, can you love somebody else before you love yourself? And I think he did that on purpose. First, you forgive yourself. Once you forgive yourself, you can start loving yourself. Once you start loving yourself, you can fully love another human being. And I think that's what happened with Eddie and his wife. And the next thing you have is that he is forgiven by the little girl that he accidentally set on fire during the war. And once again, I don't think that was an accident, because it goes back to that idea that before you can accept forgiveness, first you have to know how to forgive you. And I don't know, I just wanted to talk about that because I think it's really an essential point in the book, but unlike the other points, it's not overtly stated. It's sort of the underpinning of everything. And I don't know, I missed it. I totally missed it the first time around. And maybe other people missed it too, and maybe other people have some thoughts about that in terms of what does it mean to forgive yourself, and what are the mechanisms by which that happens. And yeah, so I just wanted to share that it's Sunday, so it's church day. So I gotta get ready to praise the Lord. I just want to share that. All right, bye.